And we are back. Welcome once again to Hermetic Temple Radio, this edition of the Temple Flame. And we got knocked off the air just a little while ago with our first broadcast attempt. So this is now the Temple Flame, Nature's Alchemy, turning dirt into silver, take 2. And I think to kind of get me started on a more positive note, I'm going to play a song. This song by the Celtic Reggae Revolution called Positive. And then we're going to be talking about nature's bounty, living in harmony with nature, and some of the incredible ways that nature does the ancient art of alchemy and how we can benefit from these natural processes. Stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
Positive people. Positive with light. Happier.
You know this life is always changing. Nothing stays the same. Life has got its beauty, but life has got its pain. Take the rough with the smooth and get into the groove. Nothing ever was sure, so you ain't got nothing to lose. No, positive, that's the way I wanna live.
Positive change. Happier.
Positive, that's the way I wanna live.
Happier.
There ain't no problem, there's only solutions. There ain't no problem, no. There ain't no problem, there's only solutions. There ain't no problem, no. Positive, that's the way I wanna live.
Positive change. Happier.
Positive, that's the way I wanna live.
Happier. Positive love.
There ain't no problems, there's only solutions. There ain't no problems, no. There ain't no problems, there's only solutions. There ain't no problems, no.
When it comes to alchemy, a lot of us in the 21st century have been trained to think in terms of symbology. And I mean, that's good because there's a lot to be said for the symbolic changing of lead into gold. It's a very rich tradition in and of itself that you take the lead of the base human consciousness, the base human consciousness, just barely above that of the animal consciousness, and through spiritual work, spiritual discipline, spiritual exercise, you transform that lead of the base human consciousness into spiritual gold. And that's beautiful, that we can profit from that, we can benefit from that. And when I say profit, I don't mean profit in the materialistic sense all the time. Sometimes I do, this time I don't. We can definitely benefit from having our base human consciousness elevated to a more spiritual, divine level. And that is possible through spiritual discipline and the right kind of practice and exercise. But there's also a physical component to alchemy that I was made aware of in no uncertain terms just the other day. Let's just say I had a epiphany, not about changing lead into gold, but in regards to turning dirt into silver and just living in harmony with nature's, just the natural practice, the natural order of things. You see, a few months ago, pretty much in the dead of winter, I was reading about how to detox the body, how to help to remove heavy metals from the body, and I ran across this one bit of information that was talking about the benefits of saffron. Saffron is a spice. It's also a flower. And when used properly, it does help to not only flavor your food if you use this spice in your food, but it also helps to detox your body and helps the body to purge itself of heavy metals and some other contaminants. So I thought, well, this sounds like a pretty great spice. Let's see if we can get some. So I looked it up on Amazon.com, and I was surprised. I mean, I was looking at prices of around $100 an ounce to buy saffron, and I thought, well, we really can't afford to be buying saffron unless, I mean, it's kind of like nature's magic bullet to everything. But it made me curious, and while I thought we couldn't afford to buy saffron spice outright, I did some more searching again on Amazon and found that you could buy saffron bulbs. I believe they call them crocuses. And yeah, you can buy them. And it was fairly expensive. I thought it was about $20 for something like 16 saffron bulbs. But I thought it's cheaper than buying the spice. And if we can learn how to grow the saffron flower, nurture it, cultivate it, we can, over time, begin to produce our own saffron spice supply. And so I ordered it. It came through the mail, and it looked pretty good. I mean, when we got the bulbs, they looked like they were in very good condition. So we tucked them away, stored them away, and waited for winter to pass. And I was planning to plant them in the spring, the very early spring. And, of course, a lot happened. I mean, we had to move. We had to just kind of uproot ourselves and change things on the spur of the moment, change where we lived, our physical location on the spur of the moment as plans began to fall through, and we had to fall back 10 yards and punt, more or less. But we took the saffron bulbs with us, and when spring finally came, we had a nice piece of land that we could use for our saffron garden. And I looked at the bulbs, and they were pathetic looking. They looked like they were beginning to actually rot. I mean, yeah, I hadn't done a good job of protecting them against humidity, and I mean, we live in a very humid spot no matter what time of the year it is. It's especially bad in summer, but even in winter, the humidity level is just, unbearable almost. And these poor little saffron bulbs looked terrible. And I thought, well, we may not get much luck this year, but I'm going to plant them anyway. So I planted, I think it was about 16 bulbs that we had that survived, that were plantable. And I planted them. And then I forgot all about it. And that planting took place about 2 or 3 months ago. Well, just the other day, I was weeding our garden, and I picked out what I thought was a little weed. Actually, my wife said it looked like a chive. Now, to me, it looked more like a weed. Of course, I don't know. I'm a red-blooded American male. To me, if it doesn't have a flower on it, or if it's not grass, it's a weed. I'm changing. I'm trying to change anyway. She's been working on me for about the last 17 years. But, you know, sometimes change is difficult. But when it happens, it's usually good. But I plucked up what I thought was this little weed. And I looked at it. And I saw it was attached to a saffron bulb that I had planted just a few months ago. So I got excited. Because up to this point, neither myself or my wife had any experience whatsoever with growing saffron, and that was the thing. I didn't even know what it would look like when it sprouted. So I showed it to my wife, and she got excited, and I carefully, lovingly planted that saffron bulb back into the garden and watered around it, and after I knew what to look for, I began to spot other saffron sprouts that were coming up in our flower garden. And to my surprise, I think all 16 of those saffron bulbs sprouted. And that just, I had to let that process for a moment. Because 2, maybe 3 months ago, those little saffron bulbs looked dead. I mean, not just dead and dry like a seed normally looks dead and dry, but I mean, this was looking like it was just beginning to rot. I mean, it was just that dead, and it just taken a lot of abuse just to improper storage and negative energy that was surrounding us about 4 or 5 months ago. And I believe that plants absorb that negative energy, and yeah, we went through some pretty rough times. We're through it now. But yeah, the poor plants just took a beating. And the poor bulbs took a beating. And I thought that, I mean, I'm planting it in the dirt. And I thought at that time I'm probably just giving it a decent burial, because I really didn't expect those saffron bulbs to sprout. But yeah, about 3 months ago, it was dirt. Just something that I was burying in the dirt. Something dead, lifeless appearing. And then give it 3 months of time. Some natural watering. We had our rainy season just pass. And it begins to sprout. Brings up new life. And it made me think about the ancient art of alchemy. That quest of turning lead into gold. And I talked to my wife and I told her, you know what? We haven't really turned lead into gold by planting this saffron, but we are in the process of turning dirt into silver. And she perked up and asked me, well, how do you figure that? And I showed her on the internet. I looked up the price of silver, and I looked up the price of saffron spice, which is collected from the saffron flower. The price of silver currently is around $17 to $20 per ounce. Saffron spice can be found anywhere from about $50 to $125 per ounce. And it's so expensive, usually it's not sold by the ounce because a lot of people can't afford to buy it. It's sold by the gram, just a fraction of an ounce. And I showed her that, and I said, yeah, we took dirt, and given some time, if we tend it, if we nurture it, if we care for it, this dirt will produce something that is more valuable to a lot of people than silver. And she got excited. And I don't mean to make this sound like some sort of a get-rich-quick scheme, nor do I wish to come across as some sort of environmental capitalist. Although I do believe that, yeah, we can use the things around us to profit materially and spiritually if we use them wisely, if we use them well and with care and with love. And we work towards an abundance in nature and in our personal lives and in the lives of those around us. If we go into it with the right attitude, then yes, we can benefit in many different ways from the bounty of nature. But it takes time. In my reading on saffron, I do not know how many saffron flowers it takes to produce 1 ounce of saffron spice. But I imagine it takes a great deal, more than just 16. And so what we are in the process of doing now, we are learning more about saffron, how to cultivate the flower, how to help the bulbs reproduce. Right now we have 16, and I'm told that in a couple of years, those 16 bulbs will begin to multiply and produce more bulbs, and then you have to dig them up, break them apart, replant each bulb separately, and then care for it and nurture it for another 2 years or so, and then those bulbs will multiply and reproduce and generate more bulbs, and then you have to dig them up, break them apart, replant them again. And so this is definitely what we are engaged in, is a long-term experiment. But it does go to show that if you are aware of the bounties of nature and you know how to cultivate certain natural processes, like flowers, growing flowers for whatever purpose. Some flowers are just nice to look at. Other flowers, not only are they nice to look at, but they have other health benefits as well, and benefits beyond that of health. Some flowers just naturally keep away rodents. Other flowers naturally keep away insects and mosquitoes. And there's a lot to be said for becoming aware of the various things that just grow naturally, in your front yard, and begin to use them wisely for your benefit, the benefit of your family, and also for the benefit of the greater community. And that point was driven home to me just the other day when I saw those saffron sprouts growing up. And we are going to continue to cultivate, to nurture these little flowers. And hopefully within another few months, I do not know how long it's going to take, but I'm hoping within the next few months, we will begin to see our first saffron flowers. And then we'll pick them, take the little petals out, I forget what they call it now, but there's 3 little spurs within the saffron flower that you pick that are a saffron red, and then you let that dry, and that becomes your saffron spice. And this is going to be a labor of love. It's also going to be a learning project. But, I mean, there's just so many ways in which we can take nature and follow nature's guidance, nature's laws, and almost literally turn dirt into silver, or turn dirt into a substance that is actually more valuable than silver. So when we speak of alchemy, I think it's good to think of it in a spiritual sense, that we're taking the base nature of humanity, human consciousness, and changing it, transforming it into spiritual gold. But there are other ways to turn dirt or even dung into something that is more valuable than silver, in some cases possibly just as valuable as gold. So, live and learn, one of those things. I'm going to take a break, play a song here by the Hollywood Drunks called That Age, and then I'll be back to wrap this up.
I'm at that age where people I know suddenly die for no reason at all. I'm at that age where people I know suddenly stop returning my calls. I'm at that age where people I know are on to their second wife and third dog. I'm at that age where people I know seem to have nowhere else to fall. But that's okay, we'll be fine, we're just getting better. But that's alright, we're still cool, we're just getting better. On my way to follow, there's nothing else to borrow. Wherever we can go to, as long as we can last. Tomorrow's just the past. I'm at that age where people I know seem to have trouble remembering names. I'm at that age where people I know tell those stories that all sound the same. I'm at that age where people I know seem to have nowhere else to hide. I'm at that age where people I know are trying to get on with their lives. But that's okay, we'll be fine, we're just getting better. But that's alright, we're still cool, we're just getting better. On my way to follow, there's nothing else to borrow. Wherever we can go to, as long as we can last. Tomorrow's just the past. Parking enforcement, your work so important for the world. Parking enforcement, your work so just a minute.
There are other ways in which we can benefit from nature's alchemy and turn dirt into silver or something far more valuable than silver. When I was growing up, I always thought that dandelions was just a weed. You know, I thought they were very pretty looking weeds, and we always managed to grow a lot of dandelions in our yard. But I mean, that's just the way I was raised. Once I went outside, saw all these pretty little flowers growing in the front yard, I collected a handful and gave it to my mom, all proud of what I'd found. And she looked at me and said, "Ralph, those are just dandelions. Those are just a bunch of damned weeds." And that's how I got trained from an early age, say about, 3, 4, something like that dandelions are just weeds. Or are they? A few years ago, we went through some pretty hard financial times, and we could not afford to buy lettuce. That was back in the days, when we saw the economy collapse, 2009, 2007, 2008, those times back when gas prices were about $5 a gallon, and lettuce prices took one heck of a hit. And we were without a stable income, so we really couldn't afford to buy lettuce. So we started doing some research on the internet, and we came across this guy called Green Dean, and his motto was "Eat the Weeds." And he talked about different things that grow in your front yard that you can turn into food for your table. And he taught us through his videos on YouTube how to forage for food right in our own front yard and our backyard too. And we just went crazy with it. And one of the things that he recommended was dandelion. And I mentioned dandelion because virtually everybody knows what a dandelion looks like. And when it comes to foraging for food in nature, a lot of times you can find food that is healthy, good to eat, extremely nutritious. And of course, other times you can find stuff growing in your front yard that is deadly poisonous. So you have to be careful. You have to get educated, get trained, and know what to look for. But the common, lowly dandelion, that damned weed, is just so universally known that I can mention it without any kind of reservation. And the dandelion, not only is it nice to look at in the summer with its, yellow blossom, but virtually every part of the dandelion is edible and has fantastic nutritional value. Back in, about 2007, 2008, we began to forage dandelions in our front yard and backyard and side yard, and we even got onto the neighbors' yards and asked, "Hey, do you mind if I pick your dandelions?" And they said, "Oh, no, sure, go ahead. It saves me the trouble of having to poison the damn things." So, yeah, we would get to the dandelions before the neighbors had a chance to poison them, and we'd pick them for food. And we got to the point where we could eat dandelion greens and just be so satisfied by it. I mean, it's really hard to describe when you're so used to eating chemicals and processed food that when you actually taste real natural food, it's kind of like an orgasm. I mean, it's great. It's wonderful. We were eating dandelion greens, and a cup of dandelion greens would satisfy my hunger, give me energy, and just make me want to go out there and do something. By comparison, I could eat a pound of turkey and chicken frank hot dogs and still be hungry and just not really feel like I have much energy at all. So, I mean, that's the difference. And one serving of dandelion greens has a lot of minerals, a lot of nutrition, and it actually has more vitamin C than a Florida orange. And I was shocked to find that out. And these are just simple things that grow naturally in our front yard. And the other day when I was mowing our front yard, I mean, I'm very careful anymore about mowing the front yard. I try to mow down the grass. I avoid the red clover as much as I can. I definitely avoid the dandelions as much as possible, and a few other things that we use for food. But it just popped into my mind, amazed me, at how many pounds of food the average American destroys just by mowing the lawn. It's just incredible. These little bounties of nature that if we became aware of them and used them properly, could be used as an important tool to fighting world hunger and perhaps even eliminating it. How many dandelions have you mowed over in your front lawn over the course of your life? How much poison have you sprayed trying to kill out those dandelions? And if you're just dead set in your mind that you don't like dandelions, I'm going to share with you a little secret. The best way that I know of to remove dandelions from your front yard is to start eating them. And I say that from experience because our first year when we first discovered dandelions, we had a bunch. I mean, we had dandelion greens all summer long. And we looked forward to the next spring when the dandelions would be coming up again. But one thing I noticed is next spring, we did not have as many dandelions in our front yard. Why? Because we were eating them. And so we began to take some of the seed, and now we don't cultivate, we don't grab all the dandelions we can, much as we'd like to, but we let some grow naturally. We try not to touch them too much. When they turn to seed, we encourage that seed to spread in certain sections of our lawn where we'd like the dandelions to come up. And we've tried to actually cultivate dandelions, but they're more of a free spirit. At least in my experience, they don't like to be cultivated. But we do try to do everything we can to encourage them to populate and reproduce in our front yard. And so if you don't like dandelions, don't poison them. There's no need to wage chemical warfare on the earth. If you don't like the weed, just eat it. But don't eat just any weed. Tune in to somebody that knows, like I think Green Dean is still on YouTube, and he does a fantastic job of educating people on how to live off the land and enjoy the bounty of nature. So not just saffron. Saffron is a very high-class, high-end spice that high demand, high price. And of course, once you know what saffron spice is and how it's created, how it grows, it's a no-brainer to be able to figure out, hey, I need to be growing some saffron. If probably not just for retail sale, but for your own home, for your own use. So you have a steady supply of natural saffron that's growing in your flower garden. But it takes a little bit more patience and effort to realize that something like the common dandelion weed can also be a great benefit when it comes to food and health, and just come to appreciate these simple gifts that nature has in abundance. And when we learn to see those natural gifts and appreciate them for what they are, and work with them carefully, lovingly, and not with greed, but just with love and devotion and care, then we can encourage an abundance to literally grow up out of the earth to provide for us and our family and anyone else who would care to listen. So that's all I'm going to talk about today. I was going to get into a little discussion on Bitcoin. That's the other way that we can alchemically turn stuff into gold, but I'm not going to talk about that today. I'm going to give that a rest. We'll come back tomorrow, depending on the quality of our computer connection, and do that on another show, because Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, another thing I'm very into, besides saffron and dandelions and gardening, and something that we can definitely prosper with. But that'll be for tomorrow's show. Today, I would just like to leave you with a thought. Don't take anything in nature for granted. Don't just look at a common flower or a common weed and think that you know everything there is to know about it. Many treasures go overlooked. Much wealth is hidden because we don't know what to look for. We do not have the eyes to see it. But when we allow ourselves to turn away from our prejudices, our preconditioning, our preconceived notions of what is valuable and what is dirt, we begin to realize that value and treasure can be found everywhere, including the dirt. That is all for today. I'm going to leave you now with a little song by Hunter and the Dirty Jacks called Prometheus, and we'll see you in the next broadcast. Take care.
It's just been dark at night. Once the sun goes down, there's no more heat and no light. But the cold outside, it only chills through the bones. So I walk under the limb instead of sleeping alone. Off in the distance, my heart felt the glow on the mountain of knowledge where it's forbidden to go. Side was this lady aflame. The moment I saw her, it was clear why I came. This is a daughter of Zeus, yeah, those are clearly the odds. Now I got something in mind, I gotta steal from the gods. She moves with the flicker, she goes red, orange, and blue. And come with me, child, I'll light my whole world with you. Prometheus.